Hello, my name is Joseph, and welcome to my Colonizing Kerbin series. We are on episode 7 of Unlocking the Tech Tree. So if you're joining me for the first time, I would recommend maybe going back to the first part to catch up to see where we are in the series. So we're starting our first mission of the episode, and we're heading to Moho. We're actually not going to complete this mission this episode. That's going to happen next episode or a later episode, because we have several days of travel for these Kerbals. This is Valentina and Bob heading to Moho. And since there's several days of travel between Kerbin and Moho, instead of doing what, most normal Kerbin gamers would probably do, and, just time warp and do the whole Moho mission and return, I'm actually going to do some other missions while this crew is traveling to Moho. Now, a little bit of a warning, I do make a few mistakes, I feel, in these burns to get to Moho, and those are going to play into what's going to happen later on in this mission. So the first part here, I did my first burn with this upper stage, and as you can see on the map screen here, it got me a high orbit, pretty close to the edge of the Kerbin system. So things were good there, but then when I tried to make the next burn right here, which should have given me a pretty close encounter to Moho, somehow I messed that up. I'm not sure how I messed that up, but there was supposed to be a really close encounter there. So I set a mid-course correction burn. However, because I missed that encounter, I'm at a orbit that I didn't want, and that mid-course correction burn is going to help, but in the end, it's actually going to cause me to waste too much fuel. So you'll see the product of that when we come back to the Moho mission later on. Just there, you just saw me deorbiting the upper stage back into Kerbin. So when it got up to the apoapsis, pretty easy to deorbit it and make sure it doesn't become debris. So with that transmission that I just sent back, I transmitted back a little over 400 science points, which allowed me to unlock supersonic flight and actuators, which aren't going to be really used by me. It was really the only thing that I could unlock at the time, so I just took advantage of that. So it's going to be 84 in-game days till that correction maneuver happens. So like I said, I'm gonna do some other missions. So this next mission here is us going to Minmus, and you may have seen me going into the astronaut building to hire another Kerbin. So we have our newest Kerbin from outside the main 4, and that is Bursby Kerbin. And we are already on our way to Minmus. And I brought along the science lab so that I could use that science lab to try and get the Kerbal Experience transferred over to Jeb and to Bursby as fast as possible, because Bill is the only one on this crew that has any experience in space flight, and I wanted to try and move that over. I don't have all the probe cores unlocked yet to give me all of the maneuvers from the pilot, but also with the lower experience, that means that when we do the deployable science, they won't be deployed at their highest effectiveness. So I wanted to use that science lab to try and move over some experience points to to Bursby and Jeb as quick as I could. Not very many experience points, but it did help a little bit. And we're already deorbiting. So kind of just tracking back a little bit here, I also ran some of those science units like the magnetometer and the gravioli detector high above Minmus and in low Minmus orbit, because we haven't used those before here. And I think I also ran the Science Junior just in case, because I couldn't remember if I had run those in high and low Kerbin orbit. So Bursby is at the Greater Flats, and she has already planted our flag. And here she makes her first landing on Minmus. And Bob, who is, that should be Bill, because Bob is heading off to Moho. Bill decided to propose to Bursby, and she said yes. So we had the first marriage proposal on the surface of another body. So very cool. Congratulations to the happy couple proposing on Minmus. And I liked my little joke there at the end. Bursby looks longingly at the mystery goo. So did Bursby just say yes because she's really nice? and she's more into science. Who knows? We're gonna have to watch this drama unfold with this couple and see if things work out for them. And look at that beautiful, beautiful shot. There's Kerbin off in the distance. There's the sun. There's, I just really like that shot. I just kind of wanted to hold that there for a minute and look at it. But we are off. Once again, we've deployed all of our deployable science that we brought along. And since Bill is at a higher experience level, instead of having to drop 3 solar panel units to power that science station, we only had to drop 2. So increasing the experience on the engineers is really important, because then we don't have to deploy as many power station units. So after coming back up to orbit, I was thinking, you know, we got a lot of extra fuel. Let's move some of that fuel over from the main command module unit, put it into the lunar lander, and we can go off to another biome. And I decided to let Jeb come down to the surface this time, because he hasn't gotten to land on another celestial body, and that'll increase the amount of experience he has for when he does a later mission. So he's going to plant the flag here in a second, and let's see what he has to say. We are at the pole biome, and he has taken his first steps on Minmus, and his dreams are finally setting on Minmus. Overwhelmed him so much, he performed the second marriage proposal on Minmus. However, Bursby is already engaged, and unfortunately, she had to decline, which is going to lead to, I'm guessing, some very awkward conversations when we get back up into orbit between the 3 of them. So we at the Kerbal Space Center may have to reconsider whether or not these 3 should be on another mission together. There's a little bit of drama going on here. Anyway, I had a very interesting maneuver that I wanted to show you here. So I'm in a polar orbit, having to come down to the command module, which is at an equatorial orbit. Now, I could have put the command module in a polar orbit, but I got tons of fuel to waste, so might as well. And there you see me burning retrograde, relative to the target. Minmus's gravity is so low, it was pretty easy to do those maneuvers and not worry about wasting fuel. In fact, I had so much fuel, I probably could have gone down and done some more prospecting and run some more science. But next time I come back to Minmus, I want to bring along more of the deployable science stations and put those in more locations. It's just a personal preference. Anyway, so this pretty much wraps up this episode. In a second, I'm going to use the large amounts of science points that I gained from Minmus to unlock several things: ion propulsion, advanced unmanned tech, high power electronics, and specialized electrics. So over 2,000 science points were collected on that mission. So with those things unlocked, I think I may be able to start setting up some satellite networks pretty soon. So that way there is constant communication between the deployed science and Kerbin. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you very much. Catch you next episode.